what was it that led to Mahatma Gandhi's assassination?
Gandhi wants an India for everybody. Those who ultimately did kill him uh, did not want an India for everybody. To Savarkar's great disappointment and great envy, great jealousy, Gandhi ascending to leadership was too much for men like Savarkar.
His opposition to atrocities and injustice and untouchability to Dalits, that actually was their first reason of hostility.
The Brahmins, according to Periyar, made Gandhi a Mahatma because he said he believed in the Vedas, the epics, they were Rashtriya. Brahmins then assassinated him because he said that Allah and Ram were the same.
He, of course, was very anguished by partition. But people ask, why did he consent to partition?
That Gandhi was probably one of the very few people who said no to partition until the very end. And when he, with very great regret, he agreed. Hindu Mahasabha was saying even before Jinnah, they were saying that Hindus and Muslims were two nations from 1937, if not earlier. The RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha kept aloof from the freedom struggle, and they openly said that the Muslims are a real enemy, and in fact we should cooperate with the British.
Salam, Namaste, Zindabad, friends. This is Harsh Mander. This is the second season of the discussion podcast series that Karwan Mohabbat is doing with Himal. This second season, we are looking at the phenomenon of Hindu nationalism, Hindutva, and its impact on public life, social relations, politics in India today. I'm enormously privileged to have as our guest one of the tallest living Indians, I think, that we have, Rajmohan Gandhi. Rajmohan Gandhi just recently celebrated his 90th birthday. So can I begin with a very warm congratulations, and we hope you'll be around for the century as well. So thank you for making time for this conversation. Rajmohan Gandhi, of course, is Mahatma Gandhi's grandson, and also on his other in his maternal grandfather is C. Raja Gopalachari, who was India's first Governor General, also a very close associate of Mahatma Gandhi. But in his own right, Rajmohan Gandhi is both a scholar, writer, but also a very important moral voice in our country. He's written many biographies, and one of them relevant for our discussions today is Mohandas, A True Story of a Man, His People, and an Empire, which I've been reading in recent days with great interest. It's a very carefully researched, very quietly written, but very moving account of Mahatma Gandhi's life. Today, Rajmohanji, I think I really wanted to talk about Mahatma Gandhi and the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha. Uh, they, they, the RSS and Hindu Mahasabha had always a very antagonistic or adverse relationship with Gandhi and what he stood for. And I think it's important for people to really understand what the disagreements are about, because I think we've reached a moment in our history when those very questions that rose during Gandhi's life, his freedom struggle, but also in the in his very tragic assassination. Those questions have, you know, are, are, are central to uh, our public life and actually people's choices in India, in South Asia, and in many ways around the world. So, Rajmohanji, I really wanted to start with with a simple question with a very difficult answer, I'm sure. What was it that led to Mahatma Gandhi's assassination on 30th January 1948? And the reason I'm starting with this question is that I often sit with young people and and ask them this question, and I'm amazed, that most people look pretty blank, and sometimes people say, "Oh, because he allowed or he supported or allowed partition," is something that I hear. That he was partial to Pakistan is something that I hear, uh, and um, and I think uh, even more worrying, the recent revision in textbooks that the Modi government has executed actually whitewashes the entire circumstances that that led to Mahatma Gandhi's assassination. And so, looking back on those times and looking at our times today, what how would you answer this question? And please take your time to explain.
So I will try now and give an answer to this question of why, in my view, the assassination took place. Of course, um, first reason is that Gandhi wants an India for everybody. From the very beginning, he wrote his Hind Swaraj in 1909, and in that book, Hind Swaraj itself, he made it very clear that India is for all, that Hindus, Muslims, other minorities, people of all castes, that India belongs to all. So this was a conviction that he was expressing right from the beginning. So this is part of the background for the hostility towards him. It's a major part. Those who ultimately did kill him uh, did not want an India for everybody. They wanted an India where some people would be supreme and others would be subservient or junior or second class or whatever. Gandhi wants in India equal rights, everyone. This is well before the Pakistan down. This is right from 1909.
Yes,
Nobody was speaking about Pakistan. But he wanted free India, for which he was working, will be for everybody. And this was also the view and opinion of virtually every prominent person in the freedom movement. So that's the first thing to recognize. Gandhi wants a free India. This is well before the Pakistan demand is raised, which would be for everybody. Muslims, Sikhs, Christians, Buddhists, atheists, Hindus, everybody. Then there is another important reason which should be recognized. Uh, there were some very prominent and gifted people in India, some of them at that time involved in the freedom movement also, who came from the very highest Brahmin caste. And I want to refer to some very distinguished Maharashtrian Brahmins, and particularly Brahmins of the Chithpavan caste, very high caste. They were very eminent and prominent in Maharashtra social life and in political life. Some of them were also in the Congress movement. which started, of course, in the 1880s. Some of them were in the movement before Gandhi appeared on the scene. Lokmanya Tilak was there, Gokhale was there, Ranade was there. Incidentally, Ranade, Tilak, and Gokhale, all three were Chitmavan Brahmins. And I think it's worth also recognizing the history, earlier history. When the Mughal Empire was on its last legs, in some of the successors of Shivaji and the Maratha kingdom was very active. And some of the prominent Brahmin leaders of Maharashtra at that time, I'm now speaking of before Gandhi, before the British, that they somehow thought that they would be the successors to the Mughal Empire. But then, of course, the British came and the British took over India. And some of these eminent people were very gifted and who had tasted great influence in India, felt that somehow history cheated them of the right to rule India. And then when the freedom movement came, and some of the Maharashtrian Brahmins were also very prominent and active. And it seemed, some of them thought that the leadership of the freedom movement was by right their matter. They would lead. And then Gandhi appeared, became very prominent and very successful. And the people of India seemed to accept him as the leader of the freedom movement. And some people were also very unhappy with that. Here I may want to refer to Arun Shoury's recent book on Savarkar, where he refers to Savarkar's great disappointment and great envy, great jealousy that Gandhi has. Of course, Savarkar was younger than Gandhi. But Savarkar was also, he felt that he belonged to this elite Brahmin group to which the leadership must devolve in free India or in the fight for the free India. But Gandhi became the popular leader of the country. And so the self-image of being number one and then Gandhi ascending to leadership was too much for men like Savarkar. So this also was a very important element in the desire of some people. Now, many people were, or some people were unhappy with Gandhi, but not everybody wanted to kill him. Those who wanted to kill him were a small minority, but they did belong to this particular group to which I referred. And so the disappointment in not becoming part of the front central leaders of the freedom movement was a very major element among those who were very furious at Gandhi's dominance and ascendance. And here I may also want to quote what Periyar said. Periyar, everybody knows about him, great leader of social reform movements in South India, all of India. So 3 years after Gandhi was assassinated, this is what Periyar said. Periyar wrote that the Brahmins made Gandhi a Mahatma because he said he believed in the Vedas, the epics, and in the Varnashram Dharma, the view that people should pursue occupations traditional in the family. So the Brahmins, according to Periyar, made Gandhi a Mahatma because he said he believed in the Vedas, the epics, the Varnashram Dharma. The Brahmins then assassinated him because he said that Allah and Ram were the same, that it was not the privilege only of Brahmins to be educated. Everybody should be educated. And Gandhi said that mosques that were seized by force should be vacated and should be returned to Muslims. This is why, according to Periyar, some Brahmins decided that Gandhi should be killed. So These are some initial responses. But here I may say something else also. Gandhi himself wrote in the year 1939 when he was being attacked in some newspapers, some Brahmin controlled newspapers in Maharashtra. So in November of 1939, again, let's remember this is before the partition demand, November 39, Gandhi writes in his journal, Origin, he refers to the attacks against him in some newspapers. And Gandhi writes, these attacks began with my active campaign against untouchability. When the opposition to untouchability was included in the political program of the Congress, and I began, writes Gandhi, when the opposition to untouchability was included in the Congress political program, and I began to address crowds on the subject, and I insisted on having the Dalits at meetings and in my ashram. It was then that some Hindu leaders who used to help me and befriend me broke with me and began a campaign of vilification. So this is important also to recognize. Gandhi himself recognized it, and Gandhi wrote about it. That some of the, you might say, traditional Hindu leaders were strongly for him to begin with. When he started opposing untouchability in a big way, they broke with him and became his enemies.
I think you've really laid the ground very powerfully. To the last point that you made, Akshay Mukul has written this really magisterial account of the Gita press, which was the main vehicle of communication, reaching almost every Hindu home. And he describes exactly the point at which the Gita press becomes very hostile to Mahatma Gandhi was when he started temple entry movement for Dalits. And he said that normally he would not go into a temple with idols, but he said, I will go into those temples where Dalits are also permitted. And it was really, even before the Muslim question, it was his opposition to atrocities and injustice and untouchability to Dalits that actually was their first reason of hostility.
But this is also my discovery, and as I pointed out, Gandhi himself recognized this and wrote about it.
Right. I was also reading, a lot before this conversation, and there's this remarkable story of Gandhi's assassin, Nathuram Godse, written by Dhirendra Jha, and something that I learned was how intensely hostile, long before the idea of Pakistan ever came into the horizon, how the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha were had two enemies that were their highest enemies. One was India's Muslims, but the other was Mahatma Gandhi. And there has to be, we really have to understand, because it is that politics which is reaching a very sort of decisive phase in the journey of our republic. So that hostility, where did it come from? I was looking at Mahatma Gandhi, after his assassination, Godse's long defense, which was a public defense, and a lot of people amazingly found it. Had said they had tears in their eyes when he spoke, and he was talking about what he kept saying was that Gandhi's focus on love and non-violence, and ethics and morality is what has weakened the Hindu people, and the Hindu faith, and through that India, uh, and uh, and that um, uh, it is masculine, hyper masculine, violent aggression that should characterize, and it was a strong Hindu, and that Gandhiji weakened the Hindu psyche with his continuous sort of emphasis on love and non-violence. So you see this also as a reason for their long and bitter hostility to Gandhi.
Yes, I would agree with that, because Gandhi was again and again saying to everybody, vis-a-vis the British, vis-a-vis all differences, divisions, that you have to uh, listen to your adversary, to your opponent. You should try to uh, understand his point of view. That killing your adversary will only lead to more violence and increase the possibility and the scale of violence. So that, of course, was also true. The allegation that Gandhi was softening the Hindus was a very strong part of the propaganda. But before I dwell on that, I will just return briefly, if you'll allow me, Harsh, to the untouchability question, very briefly. Because although we have mentioned it, I want to refer to an incredible campaign that Gandhi conducted in the early 1930s. There was the well-known Pune fast, and his uh, uh, very interesting relationship with Ambedkar, which saw so many twists, starting with the Pune fast of September of 32. There was another fast that Gandhi undertook in prison on the Dalit issue in 33. But in 1934, or rather from uh, August of 33 to August of 34, Gandhi tours. I mentioned some places: Nagpur, Vidarbh, Bilaspur, Chhattisgarh, Mahakoshal, Jabalpur, Bhopal, Delhi, Vijayawada, 70 towns in the Telugu country, Kannada areas, Malayalam areas, Tamil areas, Kurg, Mangalore, Belgaum, Bijapur, Assam, North Bihar, South Bihar, Odisha, Mumbai, Gujarat, Ajmer, Sindh, Punjab, Bengal, UP, Bihar, all on the Dalit issue. It was an incredible all India campaign in the mid 1930s against untouchability, wanting equality in Indian society. And this also was a very major reason for the opposition and hostility of some people to Gandhi. But to return to the point you had made about, yes,
Non-violence and kindness.
non-violence and some kind of male chauvinism. And of course, in some ways, uh, thanks to Gandhi, of course, there were other wonderful freedom fighters, but I think it is absolutely reasonable to say that when Gandhi emerges and says, I will say no to the British Empire, and everyone can say no to the British Empire, and lakhs and millions and crores of Indians, men, women, and children, said, we will say no to the British Empire. So it was the most effective, the most widespread, the most powerful opposition to the British Empire. But it was not, he did not say, let us kill the British. He did not say, we will throw bombs at them. And so there was this unique thing in Gandhi's fight. We will say no, but we will not throw bombs at or shoot bullets into the British. This was also a new idea of what fighting and resisting and what revolution means. So Gandhi was presenting a bold revolutionary idea, which is against the masculine idea of cruelty and domination.
The last months of Mahatma Gandhi's life, which were surely the most painful months of his life, where everything that he believed in uh, seemed to be falling apart. India got divided. A, a, a million people slaughtered each other in this frenzy of religious hatred, uh, and refugees in crores had to cross their borders. In all of that time, it was the most painful period, but it is also uh, the period where I think for it was also probably the most beautiful and precious period of his life in how he responded to hatred, to the frenzy of hatred. What paths he showed us. And in your book, I found the segments about going to Noakhali after the massacre there, then the Bihar massacre, then Delhi was tearing apart. So, would you like to, and all of that was actually, you know, I think the way that he was fighting the ideology of Hindutva, of the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha, was actually by this, by that following the path of what I would today call radical love in times of hate. So how would you talk about, because he could have fought the RSS and the Hindutva in other ways, but he fought it with by uh, going deeper and deeper and deeper uh, uh, into his belief about reaching out with love in times of hate.
But there's something else I want to mention here. Yes, he was there in Noakhali to give courage and succor to the Hindu minority, but he also spent a lot of time with the Muslims of Noakhali, with the children. He even tried now and then to be kind of a medical helper to children. He had some kind of medical training. He was always keen to assist people, even to heal some simple medical problems of theirs. He spent a lot of time with Muslim and Hindu children trying to help them. And because of his work for the Muslims as well as for the Hindus of Noakhali, some Muslims were very deeply touched by Gandhi's life. And one Muslim man, a man called S. Haq, H-A-Q, I don't know what his initial S stands for. And he wrote to Gandhi that he was very moved by Gandhi's work. And then he said that he had a dream. This man, S. Haq, said that I had a dream in which I see you, Gandhiji, you are preaching, I see you preaching Islam. So this was his way of paying his tribute to Gandhi. And I want to read what Gandhi said in his reply to this man, who had said that he had envisioned that Gandhi would be preaching Islam. So Gandhi writes to him, I have your note. I am a simple man. I do not read the meaning of visions and dreams. I will tell you what my motto is. My motto is, writes Gandhi, quote, fear God, fear no one else, and love your neighbor as yourself. Fear God, fear no one else, love your neighbor as yourself. This is my motto, unquote. So this letter can be found in the collected works. So what Gandhi is saying is that the neighbor who is in need,
Right.
your neighbor who is in need is the one with the right to your time. He's the one or she's the one with the right to your surplus, the right to your free time. So this is Gandhi doctrine, which he wants to present boldly, frankly, fearlessly to Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, Sikhs, atheists, the British, Indians, everywhere.
Mhm. The after Khali, he went to Bihar because Bihar was in, and he also, I think, sent Nehru there because 7,000 people had been slaughtered, and there was great fear. Um, what was his response? How did he succeed? And in Calcutta as well. How did he succeed in? Uh, there he was fighting. The violence was, in Noakhali it was by Muslims against Hindus. Here it was by Hindus against Muslims, and also in Calcutta substantially. How did he speak to people of his own religion when they were raising arms? How again, it's important for us to remember at this time.
Yes, of course, he spoke very, very, very frankly, very courageously, very forthright. And he said, of course, he loved Bihar.
Hmm.
No, he was there 1917. The Champaran Satyagraha was a very important part of freedom movement, 1917. So from then on, Gandhi had a very deep association, love for the Bihari people, of all castes, and people like Rajendra Prasad, Jayaprakash Narayan, Pushkar Prasad, the outstanding leaders of Bihar, were Gandhi's close colleagues. So Gandhi says to them when he's in Bihar, I know you people inside out. These are not his exact words, more or less his exact words. I know Congress from the inside. I know Bihar from the inside. I know all of you people. I know what you have done. You can't trick me. You can't deceive me. And I want you to admit what you have done. I want you to return people if you have abducted them. Return them to me. Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan was also there for some time. Return them to Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, or return them to Dr. Syed Mahmood, who was a Congress Muslim leader and minister in Bihar. And in some places, people began to admit that yes, they had done horrible, horrible things, but absolute, utter frankness. But frankness from somebody who loved them, not somebody who merely judged them, but a
Right.
complete frankness. And it also produced some effect, of course. By the time Gandhi had gone there, the bulk of the killings were already in the past. But there was a lot of justification. And some people were saying, see, we did this so that we could prevent what happened to the Hindus of Noakhali. We didn't want this to happen in Bihar. So Gandhi was very frank with them and forthright. And he said, if you really wanted to help the Noakhali people, you should have gone there.
Mhm.
What is the big deal in oppressing and killing these weak Muslims who are in a tiny minority and you're in a strong majority? He also shamed them, spoke truthfully to them, but also as somebody who loved them.
Yeah, I think you summarized it very well. He spoke, uh, very truthfully about his anguish and anger, but he spoke while loving them and not judging them. And I think that's extraordinary, and that's really important to learn from. Um, he, as the freedom, uh, as India got freedom, um, he, of course, was very anguished by partition. But people ask, why did he consent to partition? And from your study of his life, how would you answer that criticism and that question, which the RSS still raises? I mean, they make out almost as if Gandhiji was responsible for partition. How would you respond
Well,
to?
they may say that, but you know, anyone who even makes a 20% earnest effort seriously to study the documents and the books, the newspapers of the period will know that Gandhi was probably one of the very few people who said no, no, no to partition until the very end. And when he, with very great regret, he agreed. The one who was the most enthusiastic about partition from December of 46, that is 9 months before partition, was Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Jawaharlal Nehru also became willing for it. And of course, the Hindu Mahasabha was saying even before Jinnah, they were saying that Hindus and Muslims were two nations from 1937, if not earlier.
Right.
And here I think I want also something to mention something else here. It's a little bit going back, but I want to mention this.
Right.
There's a man called B.N. Jog, Jog, who wrote a book in 1994. It's called The Threat of Islam, Indian Dimensions, in which he wrote that the Indian National Congress propagated from 1885, the year it was founded, what Jog calls, quote, the new doctrine that Muslims are nationals of this country, unquote. And Jog writes in that book that referring to Spain some centuries earlier. In Spain, writes Jog, converted Muslims were given the option either to return to their original fold of Christianity or to face death or expulsion from Spain. This is the way they in Spain found most appropriate to deal with Islam, writes Mr. Jog. By contrast, laments Mr. Jog, in India, nobody thought on the lines of Spain. The Hindus never thought of bringing back converted Muslims to their original fold. This serious lacuna resulted in keeping Islam alive in India. So the argument was that we must force people to become Hindus, force people. And of course, this was totally opposed to Gandhi's view that people should be independent if they want to be Hindus, if they want to be Muslims, if they want to be Sikhs, if they want to be Christians, if they want to be atheists. Every human being, man, woman, adult, child, is absolutely free to decide on their belief. So, so Gandhi's Hinduism is not racial, it is not national, it is universal, it is rational, it is ethical. And so this too was another very major factor in the developments that took place. But yes, to return to the partition time, summer of 47, everybody wanted, the Hindus of India wanted partition. Gandhi was the one who did not want it. Patel wanted it. All the other leaders, Rajendra Prasad wanted it. Rajgopalachari wanted it. Nehru also was reconciled to it. And in Punjab, it's very important to note that in Punjab, after March of 1947, the Sikhs and the Hindus of Punjab said, we must have a partition of Punjab. All the Hindus and Sikhs of West Punjab should go to the east, and East Punjab should become separate from West Punjab. We cannot allow the Muslim majority in Punjab to control all of Punjab. So it was a popular demand among the Hindus and among the Sikhs that there should be partition. And Gandhi tried very hard to resist it. He even had, as some people know, he even had this very shrewd idea that if Jinnah could be invited to be the Prime Minister of a united India, maybe partition could be avoided. And he will then need the Congress, he would then need the Hindus, and he would work within India. But the majority in the Congress, the Hindu majority in the Congress, compelled Gandhi to give up that proposal, which was never put to Jinnah. But it is for anyone who wants to study history, go back to the newspapers of the time, go back to the books written at that time, go back to the speeches in the Congress sessions, the Hindu Mahasabha sessions of the time. Incidentally, in Bengal, the most active campaigner for partition was Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, who afterwards became the leader of the Jan Sangh, who was a Hindu Mahasabha. And he was most determined that West Bengal should be delinked from East Bengal, which had a large Muslim majority. And he very actively, with great determination and with success, worked among the Hindus of West Bengal to demand that West Bengal should be separated from East Bengal. In the same way, many Hindus and Sikhs in Punjab successfully demanded that East Punjab should be separated from West Punjab. So Gandhi ultimately yielded to the partition because really virtually everyone, all his colleagues, wanted to do this as a way of resolving the problem. So that is the understanding of partition.
So, Rajmohan, there are two sort of quick thoughts I get from what you said. One is that uh, the attack on Mahatma Gandhi by Hindutva organizations was that he was damaging the Hindu faith, and so do you see, and yet many of us see Mahatma Gandhi as the greatest sort of practicing Hindu of our times. So how do we understand that contradiction? And the second contradiction that I thought I'd lay out was actually that the RSS uh, and the Hindu Mahasabha actually rarely took part in the freedom struggle against the British. They saw their battle as the battle against not the British colonial rulers, but the Muslim majority within India, a minority within India. So, so how do how do you reflect on these two contradictions, Hindutva versus Hindu faith, and Hindu nationalism versus the struggle for freedom from colonial power?
So this again, those who do any serious study will know that the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha kept aloof from the freedom struggle, and they openly said that Muslims are a real enemy, and in fact we should cooperate with the British. Some of them said publicly, some of them said privately. So that is not a secret; it's very well known, and it's not difficult to find out among the tens of thousands or the lakhs who went to prison in the 20s, the 30s, 42. How many were from the Hindu Mahasabha or the RSS? Relatively very few. In the very early movements, yes, some of them did take part. And then incidentally, I must mention this. A very prominent RSS leader, prominent Brahmin RSS leader from Madhya Pradesh, told me, this was in the 1990s, that Gandhi did some very effective work, especially when he compelled Ambedkar to give up separate electorates, and he kept Hindu society united through his fast in Pune in 1932. Gandhi should have given up politics thereafter. He should have just stopped his activities and retired. So this was his view, and so the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha always felt that the Muslims were the real foes, not the British. And so they kept aloof from freedom movement. So this was a very major divide between Gandhi and his three colleagues. And on the one side, and they were they were loved by all of India. Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, Subhash Bose, and so many others across India, North India, South India, East India, West India. There's a tremendous national, but the RSS and Hindu Mahasabha leadership kept aloof from this. So that was the political, you might say, difference. Who was your number one foe? Not British imperialism, but Indian Muslims. But Gandhi and these others said that
And
imperialism is
And Gandhiji, I mean, which I kept finding from their literature, they saw their principal enemies were Muslims and Mahatma Gandhi.
And Mahatma Gandhi, because he wanted Hindus and Muslims to be together, he wanted Muslims to have equal rights in India from the very beginning, from, as I said, from 1909. And they never quite forgave him from that. But there is something else. There's a different understanding also of Hinduism. So, as I said before, Gandhi's Hinduism is not racial. It is not a national thing. It's not a tribal thing. It's a universal thing. Uh, and, and Gandhi's understanding, for instance, in Gandhi's view, the Indian people had given the name Shiv or Ram or Krishna to the Almighty. People knew that, yes, people fall ill, people die, there are floods, there are earthquakes. Something is happening in the world. There's some Uparwala, some Paramatma who governs our life. And we can love him, worship this force, as you call him, Shiv or Ram or Krishna. And Gandhi said that this Shiv, this Ram, this Krishna that we are worshipping is the same as the Allah or the Khuda that the Muslims are worshipping, same as the God that the Christians are worshipping, same as the God that the Sikhs are worshipping. So this is another very major difference. The Hindus who were passionately loyal to the Mahasabha or the RSS insisted that Shiva or Ram or Krishna were different from Allah or Khuda or God. That there were some kings born in India in some centuries earlier, thousands of years earlier. This was a very major difference on the understanding of the Almighty, understanding of who determines our fate on this earth. So this was a very, very major difference too, apart from politically identifying your big four.
You know, Gandhiji's last fast, just 2 weeks before he was assassinated, he called it his greatest fast. And in many ways, I also see it in the same way. My own family was uprooted amidst great violence from what is now Pakistan. And my extended family were also refugees here. And I know the anger of, obviously, you've lost your homeland, you've lost you lost loved ones. And in that time, Gandhiji called for, I think the most important demand was actually to return the mosques which they had forcefully occupied, the Connaught Place Mosque. They put idols in, the Dargah in Mehroli they put idols in, and to say that no true place of worship is there which is built on disrespect and hatred to another religion. And the fact that people came out in such large numbers in support of this demand, and the Hindu Mahasabha and the RSS had to sign an agreement, of respect. Wasn't that a moment of in his very gentle way of triumph? I think it was.
Indeed, it was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing at that time. When you look back at that time, you mentioned your own family. Harsh, the number of Hindu Punjabi families and even many Sikh families who supported Gandhi at that time,
Right.
despite their terrible, terrible loss and pain and wounds. They heroically backed Gandhi's heroic effort not to allow these horrible things to disrupt friendly relationships. It was an incredible achievement on Gandhi's part, also an incredible achievement on Nehru's part.
Right.
And Patel also went along. He went along wholeheartedly. And it was an amazing, and free India was, and then of course the constitution came, and the equality was firmly and unmistakably uh, hammered into the constitution, irremovably installed in the constitution. And all that because of a determination that we will not allow anger and hatred to determine our future. Yeah, I agree with you. It was a heroic time and a victorious time.
Um, even today, actually, if you look at, because at a time when we're seeing Hindutva, the juggernaut of Hindutva advancing in Gandhi's land, uh, the two states which have resisted it the most are Bengal and Punjab, which were the two states which suffered partition. And I think there has to be a lesson there somewhere, isn't that?
That's a very important point you're making, Kashi. Absolutely right.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Right. So just some last words. If Gandhi were to return to India today, one of the things that I was reading a memoir by Anis Kidwai, who lost her husband during the partition riots, and she came to Gandhiji, and she said he was very, very sort of despondent. And one of the things he said, बेटे मेरा काम तब तक पूरा नहीं होगा जब तक एक मुस्लिम बच्चा बिना डर के इस शहर में खेल ना सके. Like, my work will not be complete until a Muslim child cannot play without fear. And he had this capacity, the talisman. I see these, one talisman was, when in doubt, think of the most vulnerable person that you know. And this almost was a second talisman that can be build a country where a Muslim child doesn't have to, doesn't feel fear, and we living in times where actually I think fear, uh, people of Muslim identity are being made to feel fearful every day in multiple ways. And most recently, it is the whole question of whether we accept you as a citizen at all, and the whole pushing back and people being, uh, you know, you're right even to be a citizen. So fear, and he wanted a country where a Muslim child would not feel fear. And today we see fear spreading across Muslim hearts and minds. So, as somebody who does carry Gandhiji's legacy, what would you say? Just say to the people of India and the people of South Asia, uh, as your parting words in these difficult times. And I'm not only talking just about India. I'm looking at Bangladesh. I'm looking at Pakistan. I'm looking at Sri Lanka. I'm looking at Nepal. I'm looking at Myanmar. What would you say? Uh, what do you think Gandhiji would say to our people at this time?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think that this is a time the whole world over where the ideas of equality are somehow not being courageously or loyally defended. It's some kind of supremacy is being sought instead of equality. Supremacy of so-called authentic, true nationals, whether it is Pakistan, whether it's Bangladesh, Myanmar, India, any other country. Some people are supposed to be true nationals, the others are somewhat inferior or very greatly inferior. And when hatred was at its worst, at that time, in the 47, early 48, Gandhi and his wonderful comrades, women and men, young people and old people, said that no, India will be for everybody and everybody will be equal. It is an unbelievably wonderful legacy he has left for us. It's such a proud legacy he has left for us. And today, yes, the anti-Muslim, the anti-Christian, the anti-whatever brigade may be shouting loudly now and then. But even today, a clear majority of Indian people, the majority of India's Hindus, know that our future depends on our ability to regard everyone, no matter their background, no matter their caste, no matter their religion. They are my brothers, they are my sisters. It is my duty to protect them. It will give me joy if they can play happily, cheerfully, without fear. And I just mentioned one other thing before. Shortly before he was killed, on January 30, 48, Congress leaders from East Punjab, today's Haryana, they came and met him. Gandhi asked them, tell me, how are the Harijans doing? How are the Dalits doing in your state? 2 hours before he was killed, he wanted to know how the Dalits were being treated. So this man is thinking of the Hindus, thinking of the Muslims, thinking of the Dalits, thinking of Pakistanis, thinking of Bangladeshis. He really did feel that people may be born in different families in different countries. Ultimately, they are his brothers, his sisters.
So that's a lovely way to end this conversation, Rajmohanji. I think we need to remember that life's mission of Mahatma Gandhi and his final sacrifice, his resolve that people of every faith are people of equal belonging to this land. And as you said, each of us, rich, poor, of various religions, various castes, various belief systems, are ultimately sisters and brothers in this great land. And that is the land we must all reclaim. Thank you very much. Thank you for making time for a beautiful, very, very wise conversation. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for giving me the chance, Rashtriya.